Welcome to the 2026 showcase for the APS Audiovisual Winter National. My name is Dale Murphy and I'll be your host for this evening. I'm the chair of the audiovisual group for the APS and the director or convener of this showcase. I want to especially thank our three judges for this event, Richard Venus, Keith Seidel and Julie Commode, who've done an exceptionally good job, and I really appreciate all the time and effort that they put into this. Many thanks. I also want to thank Stella and Renee of the APS office because they've been so very helpful in setting all of this up. Many thanks. The order of proceedings for this evening will be, first we will go through the acceptances in some detail, but we won't be showing the AVs. Then we'll go through the merits and all of the AVs will be shown in full. And then finally we'll see the top medalists, the three top medalists, and again the three AVs will be shown, culminating of course in the gold medal. If there is time, I hope that we can show a couple of the other AVs from the acceptance list, because many of those were very, very good. Finally, we will conclude the showcase and wish you all a good evening. Okay, let's begin with the acceptances. Our first acceptance for this evening is titled A Checkered History by George Greblow of the Bendigo Camera Club. For many years, the people of Palermo, Sicily, have endured the criminal activities of the Sicilian Mafia. This sequence depicts the people's resilience. The next acceptance is titled A Day in the Garden by Graham Phillips from the Audiovisual Club of South Australia. This sequence is a look at Singapore's gardens by the bay. According to Tim, gets an acceptance and is authored by Jane Barnes and Jan Burt of the Rosanna Photographic Club. This audiovisual is based on the 2013 energetic graduation speech at the University of Western Australia. 9 life lessons are imparted by the brilliant and witty Australian writer and musician Tim Mitchin. This acceptance goes to the audiovisual titled Go Get Off by the audiovisual group at the Rosanna Photographic Club. It has an effective subtitle that says As Life Scrolls By. New York City From Dawn to Dark by Brett Harrison of the Williamstown Camera Club. This sequence depicts a day in the life of New York, of the city and its people, from when the sun rises to late at night. On Safari gets an acceptance and was created by Sally Hinton. Sally writes, My love affair with Africa started in Kenya, when I visited the David Sheldrick Elephant Orphanage in Nairobi on a pilgrimage to honour a promise I made to my late mother. This visit started an ongoing love affair with the beautiful people I met along the way, and of course the amazing wildlife encounters that kept me returning again and again. The 20 line by Graham Phillips gets an acceptance. This sequence is a look at a unique railway in Norway. The Causeway by Cynthia Henley Smith gets an acceptance. This sequence is a look at the new causeway between Victor Harbour and Granite Island in South Australia.
The copper heritage of Munta and Woolaroo gets an acceptance and is created by David Shetliff of the Audio Visual Club of South Australia. This sequence outlines the importance of the copper mines of the Munta and Woolaroo region to the development of the towns. The Lens Ball Challenge gets an acceptance and was created by Leanne Carpenter of the Whittlesea Photography Club. Leanne writes, "This is a challenge I set myself to use a little used photography prop and see what creative images I could take." There is a Place by Maggie Tan of the Camberwell Camera Club gets an acceptance. This sequence is an intimate reflection on Patagonia's untamed spirit, where wind, wildlife, glaciers, and quiet journeys remind us that nature asks nothing except patience, presence, and the willingness to simply notice. Unfurled gets an acceptance and was created by Anne Pappalardo of the Queensland Camera Group. The sequence is about the beauty of wings revealed. An acceptance goes to Close Up and Macro Photography by Ted Dimitropoulos. This sequence is a collection of close-up and macro images set to music. This audiovisual also wins the Herbert Medallion for Best Photography. Well done, Ted. Now we'll play this audiovisual in full. Congratulations, Ted. Now we move on to the awards, beginning with the merits. All audiovisuals will be played in full. The first of 4 merits that will be awarded tonight goes to the audiovisual titled At the Edge of Light by Heather Miles of Northside Creative Photography.
At the far edge of winter, the world holds its breath. Light is thin here. Time almost still. Ice gathers its stories in silence, layer upon layer. A quiet accumulation of days without sun. The land forgets the language of movement. But nothing holds forever. Beneath the surface, something stirs. A soft breaking, a quiet remembering. Water returns to itself. The land exhales, and the silence begins to loosen. And then, light returns. Not all at once. But enough to soften the dark. Enough to awaken the sky. At the edge of winter, the world begins again.
Congratulations, Heather. A merit goes to Gulwar by David Shetliff of the Audiovisual Club of South Australia.
Construction of the town of Gulwar, about 85 kilometres south of Adelaide, began in 1853. It is close to the mouth of the River Murray and the end of the entire Murray-Darling River system. It thus became the first inland port in Australia. The name Goolwa derives from the Ngarrindjeri word for elbow, the shape of the river at that point. However, ships could not traverse the treacherous waters of the river mouth, and so a railway was built to Port Elliot, about 10 kilometres away. This was the first railway built in Australia. It was later extended to Victor Harbour. The construction of paddle steamers soon began opening up a transport route to inland farming, transporting livestock, wool and grain. One new settler in Goolwa was Samuel Shetland and his wife Ellen, together with their two sons, Samuel and Joseph. Shortly after their arrival in 1854, Ellen gave birth to a daughter, Amelia. She was the first non-Aboriginal girl born in Goolwa. Amelia means beloved in Ngarrindjeri language. In 1855, Samuel built a small cottage in Farquhar Street, Goolwa. It still stands today, appropriately labelled. While initially working on the railway to Port Elliot, Samuel soon began building and sailing paddle steamers along the Murray. Before migrating to Australia in 1849, Samuel had been a ship's captain based in Goole in Yorkshire. As adults, all three children worked in the shipping business. The paddle steamers the family owned, built or sailed on were the Vesta, the Queen, the Tyro, the Ellen, named after Samuel's wife, the Jolly Miller, and the Tolano. A model of the Tolano is now on display at the Goolwa Wharf Museum. Amelia married Andrew Wilcock after a 7-year engagement. He built and owned the Tolano. Amelia is honoured for her place in history, having a recreation park on the foreshore of the river named after her. It is on the site where the family camped before their cottage was built. Samuel, Ellen and Samuel Jr. are all buried at Currency Creek Cemetery. Amelia and Andrew Wilcock are also buried there. However, when the shipping trade on the Murray wound down following the development of rail services to the inland, Joseph, who had married Jane Curzon and had 3 sons, moved to Gawler, north of Adelaide, and worked on the construction of steam locomotives. The Curzons were also in the river shipping business, and their house still stands. Frank Chetliff is my grandfather. The Australasian and the Corio hotels in the main street of Goolwa were built by Andrew Wilcock's father. They are part of what is now a heritage area in the heart of Goolwa. In 1935, a barrage was built at Goolwa to separate the salt water of the sea from the fresh river water. In 2001, a bridge was constructed from Goolwa across the river to Hindmarsh Island, resulting in further development of housing and marinas. The paddle steamer heritage is kept alive by the Oscar W, which takes passengers on short river cruises. It is crewed by volunteers, including the captain. Whilst that old railway line to Victor Harbour is now used as a heritage line, or what is known as the Cockle Train. Today, Goolwa is a place for recreation and bird life, enjoyed by residents and visitors alike. And Goolwa Beach provides a real contrast to the river. I'm proud to have some of my heritage formed in Goolwa.
Congratulations, David. A merit goes to the audiovisual titled The Magic of Photographing Water by Leanne Carpenter of the Whittlesea Photography Club.
Water constantly provides inspiration for photographers. Whether it be the majestic splendour of a waterfall, the awe-inspiring power of the ocean, or the foggy first light at the local wetlands. Water provides never-ending opportunities to create unique images. As a creative genre, the possibilities are endless. Water-filled balloons bursting, fruit dropping into a martini glass, ripples on a water's surface, or dandelion seeds are just some examples of materials you can use. Droplets of water act as convex lenses. Interesting visual effects can be captured due to the bending and magnification of light within these droplets. The more spherical the droplets, the better the refraction. When two droplets of water collide, they interact with each other in unique ways. Various containers, lighting setups, and coloured effects all produce different results. Photographing water in different settings never loses its appeal. It is truly magical.
Congratulations, Leanne. A merit goes to Wild by Design by Heather Miles of Northside Creative Photography. Wild by Design also wins the Herbert Medallion for the best script.
Philip Johnson and his team have recreated their award-winning Chelsea Garden at Olinda in the Dandenong Ranges in Victoria. Nestled amongst the 100-metre-tall mountain ash forests, the garden is a stunning celebration of the Australian landscape. A billabong and waterfall, meandering paths, thousands of native plants and a Waratah sculpture connect the garden with nature. During his 25-year career as a landscape designer, Philip has been driven by his passion for nature. His gardens are designed to uplift the spirit and heal the earth and soul. In 2013, he and his team won the Chelsea Flower Show Gold Award and Best in Show. A decade on, we can see the Australian garden in situ, over 20 times bigger. The garden showcases sustainable and water-wise design, a model for the future. Artistic placement of rocks form the foundation of the billabong, waterfall, stepping stones, walkways and seating. The reimagined Waratah sculpture creates an anchor in the landscape and reminds us of the beauty of our indigenous species. Over 15,000 plants from across Australia have found a home here, including rare and endangered species. Wallamai pines, grass trees and bottle trees provide the garden structure. Waratahs, kangaroo paws, emu bushes, baronias, wattles and grevilleas all create mid and lower layers. The masses of foliage, colour and texture are a perfect habitat for birds, butterflies, reptiles and insects. This garden is truly an inspiration of native garden design, offering a healing dose of nature to everyone who visits.
Congratulations, Heather, on this double triumph. Now we're on the home straight and we'll be presenting the top 3 medalists for this competition. In third place for the bronze medal goes to Everwish by Mel Sinclair of the Queensland Camera Group. Everwish also wins the Herbert Medallion for the most creative audiovisual. We had many novice entries for this competition, but Everwish wins Mel the Herbert Medallion for the top novice.
Oh God, look at this mess. I've let the cleaning slide, I must confess. Ever wish you could Photoshop in real life? A perfect scene, no more strife. Ah, that's better, how about this? Duplicate your coffee, your snacks or your bun. 1 click, 2 clicks, gosh, this is fun. Oh, if life had a Photoshop tool, we'd crop out the clutter, keep it cool. Photoshop in real life, oh what a dream. Everything perfect, just like a meme. Cropping out the people, making room to groove. Want to change the background? Let's make a move. Is your landscape not so bright? Just add some contrast and it's alright. Got a spot or wrinkle? Just click away. It's so easy, throw out the delay. Oh, if life had a Photoshop tool, we'd crop out the clutter, keep it cool. Photoshop in real life, oh what a dream. Everything perfect, just like a meme. Cropping out the people, making room to groove. Want to change the background? Let's make a move. Is your landscape not so bright? Just add some contrast and it's alright. Drinking alone, I'm such a dill. If only I had more friends. Hey, what about content aware Phil? Don't have too much, be careful sir. You might invoke the Gaussian blur. Oh no, you're looking green. Let's color correct you to a healthy sheen. Oh, if life had a Photoshop tool, we'd crop out the clutter, keep it cool. Photoshop in real life, oh what a dream. Everything perfect, or so it seemed. Time slipping by and I'm in a rush, but with long exposure there's no need to hush. Blur away the chaos, let the light shine through. Every moment captured just the way I choose. What have I created? This I like life before it was perfect. Take me back, Photoshop. Time to undo.
Congratulations on this trifecta, Mel. In second place, for the silver medal, goes to The Evolution of a Bird Photographer by Leanne Carpenter of the Whittlesea Photography Club.
Like many, I suspect, bird photography started for me during the COVID pandemic. Restricted to only an hour's exercise every day and a radius of 5 kilometres, I was fortunate to live in outer suburbia near bush and parklands. And so began my journey as a bird photographer. Initially, it didn't matter how common the species I saw or where I saw them. All were eagerly captured without much thought for good composition or the golden rules of photography. But I wanted to take better photos, so on to the internet for advice on how to improve. Consider your backgrounds to avoid distracting elements. Move your feet if necessary to obtain a better background. Sometimes one step to the left or right is all that is needed. Look for good poses, and if possible, eye contact makes for better engagement. Getting down low provides a much better connection to the subject and a more interesting perspective. Backgrounds and horizons are much less of a problem, and reflections in water always add to a composition. Photographing birds and their behaviour in their natural environments provides more opportunities for unique images. Examples of behaviour can include courting, feeding, parenting, or even squabbles over food or territory. Rather than cropped subjects perched on a stick, try going wide to include environmental elements. This shows the birds interacting in their natural habitats and tells us something about their lives. It can also add a sense of scale to their environment. COVID has long passed, and my bird photography continues to evolve. But sometimes the best image is the one you see when you simply put the camera down and just quietly sit and enjoy the moment.
Congratulations, Leanne. And the gold medal for first place goes to Steam to Steam by Graham Phillips of the Audiovisual Club of South Australia.
Situated near the mouth of the River Murray in South Australia, the historic river port of Goolwa is one of only 2 places globally where you can directly connect a journey from a steam train to a steam-powered paddleboat at the same historic wharf precinct. This unique steam-to-steam experience links Steam Ranger's cockle train with the Oscar W paddle steamer. The cockle train is a heritage railway operating on Australia's oldest steel line. Running between Goolwa and Victor Harbour, it provides a connection between the River Murray and the coast. The railway began in 1854 as a horse-drawn tramway linking the River Murray trade at Goolwa to Port Elliot, bypassing the hazardous river mouth navigation to connect with ocean-going ships. The line was extended to Victor Harbour 10 years later, after Port Elliot proved to be a dangerous anchorage. By 1884, the line had been extended north to Strathalbyn and connected to Adelaide's rail network, and steam locomotives were introduced the following year, allowing it to become a vital part of South Australia's transport network, before passenger services ceased 100 years later. Today, it is a tourist railway, offering scenic rides giving a journey through history with picturesque countryside, coastal and cliff-top views, plus the possibility of whale watching in winter. It features volunteer-run vintage steam locomotives on non-fireban days and diesel locomotives on other running days. The Oscar W was built at Echuca in 1908 by Franz Wallin and named after his son Oscar. It initially operated on the Murrumbidgee and the Upper Murray rivers. After 11 years, she was acquired by the Murray Shipping Company. Due to declining river trade, the company turned to tourism, and in 1942, the Oscar W was sold and transferred to Goolwa, where it was planned to refit her and use her as a tourist vessel. Wartime shortages made that impossible, and she was sold to another Goolwa syndicate, who suffered the same problem. She was on-sold to the South Australian Highways Department as a support vessel for the various road ferries along the river. The lack of cut wood along the river led to her conversion to oil burning. In 1960, she was sold and transferred to Mildura, where she was used as a tourist vessel and for any general work that could be found. In 1964, the Oscar W was again sold, and she headed back to the bottom end of the river, where she was slipped for major hull repairs. Unfortunately, the owner died before the work was completed, and the Oscar W was sold to the South Australian Tourist Commission, who were creating an interpretive centre at Goolwa. The Oscar W was returned to river-worthy condition in 1988. However, just 6 years later, she was again taken out of commission to replace her boiler. After almost 120 years, the Oscar W is still operational and is maintained at Goolwa as a working exhibit that is used to demonstrate how the vessels worked on the rivers. An interesting and informative commentary is provided, offering insight into the area and providing a good idea of what paddle steamer and Murray life were like. Goolwa was one of the country's most important River Murray ports in the mid to late 1800s. It was a centre for transport and trade between South Australia and the eastern colonies. The unique wharf and tramway precinct is of national significance, and the Heritage Centre, along with the Cockle Train and Oscar W, help enhance and tell the history of this once vital river port, where goods were transferred from riverboats to horse-drawn trains for transport to ocean jetties.
Warmest congratulations, Graham, for a fantastic result. Well done. Okay, folks, let's just take a look at a couple of audio visuals from the acceptance list. Just a couple of them. I think these ones are particularly good, but that's just my personal opinion. And the first of these is according to Tim.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Tim Minchin.
I'm not an inspirational speaker. I've never lost a limb on a mountainside, metaphorically or otherwise, and I'm certainly not here to give career advice because, well, I've never really had what most would consider a job. However, I have had large groups of people listening to what I say for quite a few years now, and it's given me an inflated sense of self-importance. So I will now bestow upon you 9 life lessons. Here we go. Ready? 1, you don't have to have a dream. If you have something you've always wanted to do, dreamed of, like in your heart, go for it. After all, it's something to do with your time, chasing a dream. And if it's a big enough one, it'll take you most of your life to achieve, so by the time you get to it and are staring into the abyss of the meaninglessness of your achievement, you'll be almost dead, so it won't matter. I never really had one of these dreams, and so I advocate passionate dedication to the pursuit of short-term goals. Be micro-ambitious. Put your head down and work with pride on whatever is in front of you. You never know where you might end up. Just be aware the next worthy pursuit will probably appear in your periphery, which is why you should be careful of long-term dreams. If you focus too far in front of you, you won't see the shiny thing out the corner of your eye. 2, don't seek happiness. Happiness is like an orgasm. If you think about it too much, it goes away. Keep busy and aim to make someone else happy, and you might find you get some as a side effect. We didn't evolve to be constantly content. Contented Homo erectus got eaten before passing on their genes. 3, remember, it's all luck. You are lucky to be here. You are incalculably lucky to be born. Understanding that you can't truly take credit for your successes, nor truly blame others for their failures, will humble you and make you more compassionate. Empathy is intuitive, but is also something you can work on intellectually. 4, exercise. I'm sorry, you pasty, pale, smoking philosophy grads, arching your eyebrows into a Cartesian curve as you watch the human movement mob winding their way through the miniature traffic cones of their existence. You are wrong and they are right. Well, you're half right. You think, therefore you are, but also you jog, therefore you sleep, therefore you're not overwhelmed by existential angst. You can't be can't, and you don't want to be. Play a sport, do yoga, pump iron, run, whatever, but take care of your body. You're going to need it. Most of you mob are going to live to nearly 100, and even the poorest of you will achieve a level of wealth that most humans throughout history could not have dreamed of. And this long, luxurious life ahead of you is going to make you depressed. 5, be hard on your opinions. A famous bon mot asserts that opinions are like assholes, in that everyone has one. There is great wisdom in this, but I would add that opinions differ significantly from assholes, and that yours should be constantly and thoroughly examined. We must think critically and not just about the ideas of others. Be hard on your beliefs. Take them out onto the veranda and hit them with a cricket bat. Be intellectually rigorous. Identify your biases, your prejudices, your privileges. Most of society's arguments are kept alive by a failure to acknowledge nuance. We tend to generate false dichotomies and then try to argue one point using 2 entirely different sets of assumptions, like 2 tennis players trying to win a match by hitting beautifully executed shots from either end of separate tennis courts. 6, be a teacher. Please, please, please be a teacher. Teachers are the most admirable and important people in the world. You don't have to do it forever, but if you're in doubt about what to do, be an amazing teacher. Even if you're not a teacher, be a teacher. Share your ideas. Don't take for granted your education. Rejoice in what you learn and spray it. 7, define yourself by what you love. I found myself doing this thing a bit recently where if someone asks me what sort of music I like, I say, well, I don't listen to the radio because pop song lyrics annoy me. Or if someone asks me what food I like, I say, I think truffle oil is overused and slightly obnoxious. And I see it all the time online, people whose idea of being part of a subculture is to hate Coldplay or football or feminists or the Liberal Party. We have a tendency to define ourselves in opposition to stuff. As a comedian, I make my living out of it. But try to also express your passion for things you love. Be demonstrative and generous in your praise of those you admire. Send thank you cards and give standing ovations. Be pro stuff, not just anti stuff. 8, respect people with less power than you. I have in the past made important decisions about people I work with, agents and producers, big decisions based largely on how they treat the wait staff in the restaurants we're having the meeting in. I don't care if you're the most powerful cat in the room. I will judge you on how you treat the least powerful. So there. 9, finally, don't rush. You don't need to already know what you're going to do with the rest of your life. Don't panic. Most people I know who were sure of their career path at 20 are having midlife crises now. However, I am no nihilist. I'm not even a cynic. I am actually rather romantic. And here's my idea of romance. You will soon be dead. Life will sometimes seem long and tough, and God, it's tiring. And you will sometimes be happy and sometimes sad, and then you'll be old, and then you'll be dead. There is only one sensible thing to do with this empty existence, and that is fill it. Not fill it, fill it. And in my opinion, until I change it, life is best filled by learning as much as you can about as much as you can, taking pride in whatever you're doing, having compassion, sharing ideas, running, being enthusiastic, And then there's love and travel and wine and sex and art and kids and giving and mountain climbing, but you know all that stuff already. It's an incredibly exciting thing, this one meaningless life of yours. Good luck, and thank you for indulging me.
And the second one is unfurled.
As the world awakens, what was folded remembers how to unfurl. A pause, then the smallest surrender. Feet leave stone, the body trusts the air, and the sky receives it. Above, the higher currents are already written. Wings rise into a sky that knows how to hold them. On the long breath of wind, another shape appears. Never alone, only apart. They move within the same invisible river, at times wing to wing, at times a widening distance that is not a parting, each held aloft by the same unseen lift. The sky becomes common ground for all those who fly. Eventually, the air loosens its claim. Wings tilt toward earth. Stone waits with timeless patience. The body yields to gravity as quietly as it once resisted it. Feathers open again, not for flight, but for light. Wings widen to warmth, mending the small frays of wind and salt. And as the day lowers, the wide sky gathers itself. What rose will rest, what opened will fold, not in ending, but in readiness. And the air, still remembering, keeps the shape of unfolded wings.
So that's it, folks. The evening is over. We've come to the end. Thank you all for participating, and thank you for everyone who've entered. Congratulations to all of our winners, and many thanks again to the APS for setting this all up. Good night.